Welcome back to the Wirex Podcast. I'm Lianna Adams, and today we're asking a big question. Why does crypto still feel so complicated? And how can we make it easier for everyone? I'm joined by Simona Serban, co-founder of ETHCluj, who's working at the heart of the Web3 space to make blockchain more user-friendly and inclusive. Welcome, Simona.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thanks so much for inviting me, Lianna. And obviously, super excited to be here. Honored to represent the ETHCluj team as well. Just to make sure everybody understands, because it's something very important to me. We're actually a team of people behind ETHCluj, and I'm probably the best to speak around it since I'm the communication person. But yeah, very happy to be around and join the.
Yeah, really happy to have you here. So maybe let's just start with your professional background. We like to kind of see how your journey has been to get to where you are today.
Yeah, that's a tricky question a bit right there, just because I've had so many jobs and done so much stuff that actually I feel like everything pretty much drove me to this moment per se. Just as an overall, as I was saying just before. So what I do currently, like today, I'm mostly looking after. So I'm a marketing communications person doing PR as well. But I'm coming also like from a commercial background, since I've been working for quite some time in a commercial role. I'll be honest, it was in a corporation, and that's probably one of the reasons that I've actually chosen to switch to crypto and blockchain ecosystem, and in more specifically in the Ethereum ecosystem, since I'm pretty much a strong believer in the values that it promotes. So yeah, that's a very little bit about me.
Amazing. And what was your first experience with crypto like? How do you get into the space?
That's a funny bit, actually. So, by hazard, I'll be honest. Uh, as I was saying, like, so I remember it was like back in 2022, if memory serves. I was just, exiting my job in a corporation. And to be quite fairly honest, I was quite disappointed of what was going on in terms of, jobs and how the ecosystem was behaving in terms of people and honesty with the employees, but just as an overall, right? So I took a bit of time off for me, and this friend of mine was actually working in a crypto DeFi startup. Just reached out to me and said, "Hey, I know you're on vacation and maybe it's not the best moment, but we're looking for somebody who can look after, like the social media marketing aspects of our project." It was a DeFi project. "Would you be interested in coming over and just, like having a chat with us?" So yeah, this was a front-end developer, so not at all like the co-founder of the company. So here I go, just joining like a very informal interview, straight from the start saying, "Guys, I have absolutely zero clue around, like what blockchain crypto is. Never touched Twitter, Discord before. But what I can do is I'm genuinely a very curious person. So once I get excited about something, I'm literally like really digging through the subject and, staying on it and learning quite fast." So yeah, I pretty much opened with honesty and offered genuine support. And then, the rest is basically how it started. So yeah, that was my first experience with actually getting in touch with crypto. Well, I'll be honest, it was quite of a learning curve for the first 6 months, and I'm not saying it ever stopped, right? But in the first 6 months, I was literally every concept that I was hearing about was new. So yeah, it was funny, but I had the support of, my colleagues, and honestly, a lot of the people who offered support to me are actually today in ETHCluj. They are my colleagues and co-founders. So yeah, kudos to them for onboarding me to crypto and blockchain, right? And especially Ethereum. So yeah,
That's
it was a
amazing.
learning curve for sure. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, but I suppose, it was great as well because you could see things from from a fresh set of eyes, right? And I think that is really you know, actually that was really powerful for them, you know. So and what was a crypto concept that took you way too long to understand but finally clicked?
Yeah, I'm still smiling about it. To be honest, there are plenty of them just because it takes time and patience. And it's always, like it's a very fast-paced environment, if I can call it like that. Like everything is,
Mhm.
there are moving pieces all the time. But for me,
Yeah.
most recently, let's say, because I wouldn't be able to pick like the absolute most, but one important concept that it took me a bit of time to understand is ZK proofs, right? So a method by which the prover, like one party, the prover can convince another party, the verifier, that a statement is true, like without revealing any additional information beyond the fact that it's true, right? And this was very important to me to understand this because it revolves around a concept which I'm deeply respectful of, and if I can call like strong believer into building this. So the concept of privacy, right, which is quite important, and yeah, I really took a bit of time to fully understand, well, fully to understand it. I'm not pretending that I'm a cryptographer or understanding like the in depth because it takes a bit more time. But I understand the general concept and maybe a bit of the mathematical concept behind it, since I have actually a mathematical background as in university, even though I've never actually, practiced it more than, you know,
Hmm.
teaching a little bit. But yeah, this truly speaks to me in terms of the value that it brings and, like the concept itself, right? So yeah, this was an important concept to learn for sure.
That's amazing. And, like I always say, we're still building the plane while flying it, right? You know, and what's a lesson from your early crypto days that you wish someone had told you?
Ah, there are plenty, let me tell you.
Me too.
I'm sure I speak for everyone. But if I would have to pick an important one to me, is to pay attention more to the ethical aspects of the actual people who are building a certain project, a protocol, rather than their technical expertise. I'm not saying technical expertise, it's not important. Obviously, it's super important. This can be learned though. But the ethical aspects of the people that are actually building something, this is something which is a bit goes a bit deeper than just the technical expertise. And I always say, maybe it's a cliche or maybe it's just partially true, that like technical stuff or expertise you can gain, you can learn, but the ethics you pretty much have to have them built within you somehow.
Hmm.
So yeah, I tend to focus these days way more on the ethical aspects than the technical expertise and details. And yeah, I focus on understanding the intention and the impact, like on the long run, rather than, if I can say it like that, the fascination of innovation, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's an important thing, which probably in the beginning, I mean, probably for sure, I see myself in the early days, right? I was just so, overexcited with new concepts that I was learning and new stuff that can be built, and how to communicate, how to understand and communicate around it as well. And sometimes, I maybe had more of a naivety of thinking that pretty much 90% of the people are building in the crypto ecosystem based on like ethical aspects and cypherpunk values, which nowadays I understand it's not always the case. But I'm always going to be supportive of this rather than, just doing something glam, wow, and not having like a real impact, a valuable impact on the long run.
Oh
So
man,
the human side,
I'm the same as you.
yeah. Like the human side of crypto is often overlooked, but hugely important, right?
Exactly, exactly, and the thing is like yeah, we need to see like the ethics and what impact the specific project or whatever is trying to make, right? And also, in terms of impact, and then you've also got impact washing, right? Where people can kind of say like, oh yeah, I'm doing this for, the underserved communities, but then in the end, the impact doesn't really come through, right? And the people on the ground are not benefiting from the project. So yeah, I totally agree with you that technical
Yeah,
aspects of, yeah, sorry, you were gonna say?
but even to say even more, like go even further, it's not only that the people are not benefiting from the project, but a lot of the people are suffering even from a lot of the projects, which is something I'm trying to militate against, including
Yeah.
through like if you see like marketing techniques which are actually very poisonous to a community. Yeah, this is something I deeply care about, and I deeply care about fixing this if I can say it like that, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's great, because we do need more people like you, to not to say to police the space, but to really ensure that okay, if you say you're gonna create this impact, make this impact, and let's make sure you really do and help the people on the ground. Because many times they often are left out or are not even included in the conversation, right? So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Thank you. Appreciate.
So, and then, why do you think so many people still find crypto confusing even after all these years?
Where do I start? I wonder why.
Do we need a rebrand?
No. I think it's a lot to do with, time, patience, education, and, like genuinely being generous in terms of sharing knowledge, right? But like on an overall, there are few main areas which I have in mind. So first of all, general concepts are genuinely, like abstract a lot of the times to a lot of the people who are trying to understand, like decentralization, consensus mechanism, proof of work, proof of stake, like what's the difference between, it's in the name per se, but it's taken a little bit more time to understand, including, look, even me, like zero knowledge proofs, and I'm somebody who's already in the ecosystem like since about 3 years now, right? So yeah, these are very different from what most people are used to in like traditional, web to do or traditional finance or tech, right? So it's a little bit tricky. And moreover, on top of this abstract terms, there are also like the community jargon, right? So you have all sorts like from hashing, gas fees, liquidity pools, MEV, which is like the concepts, and then there's the jargon like hodl, wagmi,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
some of them you can grasp, right? Like degen with
Yeah.
pre, which is straightforward, right? But
Yeah.
some of them, like there's a lot of abbreviation, a lot of like jargon and slang, and yeah, it's a bit tough to understand it, on the first, browse through, right? That's why I'm saying it takes time. Then what I was saying just before is also the fact that the ecosystem moves fast. So new technologies appear every year, every day nearly, right? Maybe I'm oversaying it with every day, but either way, it's quite fast paced, right? And each
Yeah.
comes with its own mechanics and own risks and own intricate, functioning and so forth. So yeah, it's hard to feel confident when what you learned like few months ago, it already feels a bit outdated, right? It's
Yeah. That's so true.
yeah. And then I mean, if you look also at the fact that, like unlike learning a new app, for example, like in Web 2, like mistakes in crypto can actually cost you money.
Mhm.
And people are sometimes, like because of the, let's say, high stakes, uh, people are a bit nervous around this, right? Like losing private keys, sending tokens to the wrong address, or I don't know, being a victim of scams, which in the end are quite common, right? Yeah, it's sometimes putting people a bit, not at ease, right? And the fact there is no undo button, it's also a pressure. It can feel, like can make learning feel intimidating, right? So
Yeah, and there's no customer service as well.
yeah, for sure. And then it's also this layer of marketing and I don't know media coverage. Like there's mistrust and mixed reputation somehow. So for example, like media coverage swings between hype, like check out this coin, going, and then crypto scams all of a sudden, right? Which happen.
Yeah.
So there's like, it feels super hugely unstable, right? And for the average person, it's hard to know when it's a revolutionary technology or just, like gambling. And if you're talking about the aspects of, like cryptocurrencies and so forth, and it's the same, it's a little bit extending towards the actual it's extending towards the actual technology. Like a lot of people don't fully grasp that blockchain and Web3 ecosystem, it's way more than just, cryptocurrency. And if I'm talking about Ethereum in specific, it's, we're right? So we're building way beyond just, what you see on your average media coverage, right? So there's 10 plus, a big big one to mention is probably the user experience, right? Which is still a little bit clunky sometimes, or it's a bit it doesn't feel as smooth as logging into your average app.
Yeah, there always too many steps.
Yeah, you have like
too many steps. Even for me sometimes.
For everyone, I guess. It's just that us that were already used to this, it makes sense to us. But for the average normie, if I can say it like that, I hear this phrase a lot, so I'm gonna use it. It's very much putting off. So we need to work on that. I guess that's like a few. I'm not gonna bore you with more, but a few.
No, I love it. But I also feel like maybe, there should be a crypto dictionary, right? Or, so that we get to know what all the abbreviations mean. Because it took me a while to even, ask, what is WACME? Right?
You feel embarrassed to ask.
Because you feel really embarrassed to like, oh, what does it really mean? And then you try to come up with your own, and it doesn't make sense,
Completely. I know the feeling. I think they've been a few attempts. If there isn't like a proper crypto dictionary, I've seen a few attempts at it for sure. But yeah, actually going on the fact that you feel embarrassed, like a lot of us feel embarrassed to ask questions, which is kind of, like human nature, right? I would urge everyone to just don't feel embarrassed and have the courage to ask. Like even the dumbest question, there's no dumb questions, right? There's just unanswered questions. So yeah, that's the important thing when getting familiar with crypto. Don't be afraid to ask questions, for sure.
Yeah, there's no stupid question or dumb questions, because if that is a question for you, it's important. Yeah, and what's your favorite analogy for explaining crypto to skeptics? Oh, it's just monopoly money, like it's fake money.
Oh my God. I don't know about skeptics. I have I'm skeptical about skeptics sometimes, even though I am a skeptic myself a lot of the times. But I would say favorite analogy or few favorite analogies to explain crypto to new people, to newbies, right? Skeptics, I think they need time. You won't convince a skeptic. A true skeptic won't be convinced by one analogy. This is
Absolutely. I think they'll only be convinced with a proof of work, right? Proof of concept.
Yes, totally. But what you can do is make it interesting for them, like with an analogy. So a lot of, I think it's also maybe a popular analogy. I don't know where I picked it up, but this is a very simple one for anybody who's absolutely not familiar with crypto. I'm not going too much in depth with this, right? So if you would have to compare like Web 2 or traditional finance to blockchain or crypto, right? I'd say an analogy around between like Word document versus Google Docs, right? So it's like, okay, on a Word document, if you and I work on a Word file, we each keep separate copies, right? If I update mine, you won't see it unless I send you a new version, right? So that's pretty much how it works, like in the traditional ecosystem, Web 2, right? So if you look at blockchain, everyone is looking at the same live document, like in Google Docs, right? So when I make a change, everyone else sees it instantly, and there's no need for a central authority to check and sync. And the system is basically guarantees consistency through itself, right? From the build, right? So that's one that I've seen that it works quite well as a comparison. But then one that I like is actually around, and specifically around Ethereum. I'm a huge fan of Ethereum, right? So think about an Ethereum community table gathering, right? So let's say this is ETHCluj, right? Because obviously I love ETHCluj. So everyone brings their own food at the table. So this can be ideas, projects, what have you, right? And the table is in the middle and is public, so everyone can see what's being contributed, right? So you don't need to trust that someone brings a dish because you can actually see it on the table whether they brought it or not, right? And the rules are transparent, so bring something, share it openly, right? Now, this is where like math fairness comes in, let's say, right? So imagine that before placing a dish on the table, you had to attach a mathematical seal, so a cryptographic signature to it, right? And this seal proves this dish was made by me and it's authentic. And if you want, you can say it's vegan or it's, I don't know, like halal, or this dish is in a certain way, has certain properties, and it's made by me, right? So without you needing to announce your entire recipe, taking people through your kitchen and so forth, right? So that's the seal, the mathematical seal. If someone tried to sneak in a fake, like, I don't know, a not vegan dish or non-halal, some that, I don't know, is with cheese, and there are people who are sensitive, right? The seal would expose it, right? And that's kind of like your zero knowledge proof version of it would be like, instead of showing everyone your kitchen steps, you also provide a zero knowledge proof. Like, I promise that my dish followed like vegan rules or so forth. And the mathematical seal checks out, right? So people trust the proof, enjoy your food, and you keep your secret sauce or ingredient private, right? So yeah, that's a fun way. Plus, I'm a foodie, so obviously I'm gonna go around food, right? So
Oh my goodness, that is such a great analogy. I love it. I love the way you explained it, and and it's so true. Like like a little potluck, or even like I guess you could say a food competition as well, right? I love it. Thank you so much for that. I might use it.
by all means, it's free for all. Enjoy. Imagine the community table.
Yes, it's very delicious. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you could redesign the crypto onboarding experience from scratch, right? What would be the first thing you change?
I don't know if it's the first thing. I'm obviously going to filter this through my experience and my perspective, right? So I'd focus on
For the potluck.
yeah. No, we're gonna move away from the culinary discussion, just because it's moon here in Cluj. So yeah, I'm joking. So yeah, listen, I love. I mean, I'd love to be a part of redesigning, or not necessarily redesigning completely, but taking a bit more care about the onboarding journey, right? And start with values and intentions, then move towards, like understanding wallets, transactions, technicalities, and so forth. Then I'll be honest, I'm not the technical person in ETHCluj, right? And I'm not per se a technical person. I understand the concepts, right? So I think my personal view is that I think we need to start with values, intention, and meaning of why of why we build in the blockchain and crypto ecosystem, right? And then my thought is that like too many people enter crypto by, like clicking buttons and never understanding or not understanding like why is this is, like why this, for example, like why decentralization matters, how their voices can their choices can impact the community, right? And yeah, this is important. And yeah, if the first step was about ethics and trust and the social layer, obviously, people would feel less confused and less intimidated and more aligned with building something meaningful to the more understanding of why the user journey is as it is, right? And the user experience, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you there.
No worries. So yeah, that's my view at this point.
Yeah, I really love it because it's telling people, or at least informing them and educating them on the ethos of like the space, right? And you're so right, to get them to understand the values before the technical, before all the technical stuff, is so important. And I think, in some ways, personalizing their journey, right? Because not everyone, is technically savvy, or, they have different motivations in coming into the space. So I think, in some ways, personalizing that journey for them, so, but I think it all starts with the values and the principles and, the meaning. I think that's so important. I can't agree more, yeah, thanks for that. I'm like, yes.
I mean, from that point, you can actually, start to, they can start to understand what's going on. And then you can, as you said, like go more on personalizing the experience for everyone.
Yes.
If we're to open up, and we're trying to do that, like open up the ecosystem to everyone, we need to, like start with the overall like philosophy, values, and then, go towards like what's suitable for each of the new joiners, right, coming in, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, because also when people start off with the technical stuff, it can scare people, right? And it can be very overwhelming in terms of like all this new technical jargons and yeah, it makes learning a little bit more difficult, I think. And like I've seen before, coming into the space, people were just throwing jargons, and it's like, do you even understand this jargon?
Yes, a lot of the times it's the case that people use a lot of concepts and it doesn't fully click, in their mind, like how it integrates in the overall. So that's why it's important to start like from a broader view and then go in depth, right?
Yeah. So, but then how can the crypto community better support total beginners, without dumbing things down?
So yeah, as I said, like people are often intimidated by complexity. So
Yeah.
I think taking time to explain, to mentor, guide newcomers without rushing, this is very important. Because we need to help them build confidence and understanding for both technology and the social values behind it. So I think we can support them by focusing on, well, as I said, obviously, context, ethics, social understanding, rather than just, like just transaction and tools. And yeah,
I suppose like, this is where we could personalize their journey, right?
exactly. That's what I mean. And, like give them mental models, like, for example, even as we were mentioning before, like the community table or analogies are very important, right? Because
Absolutely.
you need to bridge what the concepts that they know and they're familiar with the concepts that you can find in crypto, right? So yeah, everyone needs to be able to find, like their place, I don't know, their responsibilities, the ways to interact with the ecosystem, right? And yeah, once they grasp the purpose, obviously, concepts of technical details, and then everything becomes more meaningful instead of intimidating.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be some kind of like resonance, like they need to resonate with something within crypto to really be onboarded, right? Because otherwise it's just on the surface, and they won't really optimize, the technology for good. Yeah, I love that. What advice would you give to builders in crypto who, want to make their products more user-friendly, for example?
Well, tough question here. I'm gonna speak from the aspects of like human aspects of building technology that is meaningful for your adopters, right? Don't want to say users, because users is so impersonal, and I think people should be seen, like as genuine contributors to the tech that you are building, right? Or yeah, maybe start by understanding the human side, not just the technology. And yeah, user-friendly crypto isn't only about, like slick wallets and transactions, it's about the people. So understand the why behind what you are building and what you are doing, the impact of your choices and the norms of the community, right? As well.
Yeah.
So build tools that guide users gently, like provide, for example, like the mental models or analogies that we're speaking around just before. Understand how to build trust with the adopters of the technology, and fairness as well, right? So keep
Yeah.
that in mind, and making the social and ethical dimension of crypto visible. This is very important, for example, when you market your project, right? So if people grasp and understand the purpose first, then, they're going to start using more intuitively your technology.
Yeah, and there's no one size fits all approach, right? So, yeah, I love that. And what's one thing everyone listening could do today to feel a little less confused about crypto?
Just try, first of all.
Just start.
Golden rule, first of all, is, like crypto is best learned by doing. So start small, explore. You're gonna make mistakes for sure, but basically the rules of the system will teach you, right? And you don't need to understand everything at once, so don't put that pressure on yourself, guys. Just like take it one step at a time, try it out, and then like slowly but surely everything will start to make sense. Like learn by engaging with the tech, engaging with the community as well, which is also a very important aspect. Like go on community chats, find those Discord channels that you're interested in, or Telegram, or I don't know, like on social media as well. And, just ask questions. As I said before, there are no questions that, like no silly questions, just questions that haven't been answered, right? So don't sit there frustrated with not knowing some concepts or taking too much time to learn. It's creating frustration and people bounce because of this, right? It's just it's too complicated for me. Make sure you go and ask questions. Most of the people in the ecosystem, and specifically Ethereum for sure, are genuinely willing to help you, right? So go and find your tribe, and stick to them and ask questions and learn with them. And also attend meetups. I mean, there are a lot of communities. Obviously, I'm going to talk about ETHCluj, right? That is an Ethereum community in Romania, but we try to help out genuinely and on a global level as well. So there's a lot of content and a lot of meetups, which are even more valuable than content, because that's the place where you can actually engage with the community and ask those questions, instead of just watching, tutorials and, trying to grasp concepts in a lot of, like in a long time, right? So
Yeah.
just let people help you, right? Somehow reach out to people. So yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's really amazing. That's sound advice. And I think also maybe if I could add is it's okay to take your time, I think a lot of times people, they rush into it and then they feel pressured about it, because everyone has moved forward except for, maybe you needed a bit more time to understand certain concepts. So yeah, I think taking the time to really learn and to be confident with in crypto, I think is really important as well.
Of course. And remember, there's no concept that you learn, and if it's outdated, I don't know, in 2 months from now, it's not like the pattern of learning has been taken away from you, or this concept doesn't exist absolutely, right? It's just, it's shaping your mind in thinking in a certain way. It's shaping your mind to learn in an easier way. So yeah, of course, take the time. You will reach, like the cruising level, if I may call it like. It's all right. Don't be worried about this.
Yes, and 1 year in crypto is like 10 years in in real life.
Oh, yes. You should find this place. Yes.
um, Simona, is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I think that's pretty much it. Other than please make sure you engage with communities around you, and make sure you stay open and curious about what's going on in crypto ecosystem, and try to understand like the overall value that we bring with building the crypto ecosystem, right? And I'll come back to basically the cypherpunk values, which we're all building for, right? That's why we're building in blockchain, and more specifically in Ethereum as well. Is basically, it sounds like a cliche, but we want to change the world in a better place and more positive place, that you would own your own data, have your privacy, function decentralized, and in a collaborative way with your communities. So yeah, I urge everyone to reach out to their local communities, and also obviously everyone's always welcome on our channels for ETHCluj to feel free and ask questions. All right.
Amazing. And that's it for today's episode. Simona, thanks so much for being here. And it was great hearing your take on how we can make crypto easier and more welcoming for everyone. So really, thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Lianna, and thank you guys for inviting me and having me. Wishing you all the best, and see you soon at an event near you, probably.
And to all of you listening, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Wirex Podcast.